Today we'll be taking a quick look at the Microsoft Surface Laptop Studio. Now this is the first one that we've had in the shop so far, and if I'm not mistaken, this actually came out several months ago, I think at least 3 months ago. So I'm kind of surprised that it took us this long to get one in the shop. I mean, usually a lot of times within a few weeks of a new product being released, we'll get a customer that didn't like it and sends it to us to trade in. So this one took us a while to get in. I'm not sure if that's indicative of the sales and the popularity of this model, but since we did get it in, wanted to give some close-up looks of it and kind of just initial impressions. So let me go through the specs first of all on this particular configuration that we got in here. So you can see it is the Core i5. It's the 11th gen model there, the 3.1 gigahertz frequency, 16 gigs of RAM. And then this one came configured with Windows 11 Home on it, all right? So those are the basic specs. This is the 256 storage. And then for those who really want to dig in and look at some of the specs in Device Manager, make this a little bigger, and you can just pause the video here and see all the different components there that I've got expanded. But with that being said, let's take a look at the body and the form factor, because that's really what makes this particular unit unique. So from a quick glance, it looks like just an ordinary laptop. Looks very much like a MacBook really, but at a quick glance, it's pretty much ordinary until you kind of give this a little bit of a tilt and then it hinges. So it's got a hinge right here and then some kind of magnet down there that clips it on. So then this allows you to turn it into, I guess more of like a drawing tablet where it's kind of on an easel almost, and you could take a stylus and write on it, which by the way, a stylus pen is not included, at least on the configuration that we've got here. So that's something you have to buy separately there. But the build quality, as expected on a Microsoft branded product, is superior. It's just as good, if not better, than something coming from Apple. So really good build quality here. The only complaint I would say on this magnet is I noticed as I kind of opened and closed the lid, sometimes that magnet I think could be just a little bit stronger, because every once in a while it would break that connection like that and not like I wanted it to and flop open. So maybe that magnet could be just a touch stronger here on the bottom, but that's a pretty minor complaint. For the most part, going back and forth real quick, it seems to hold up just fine there. But let me give you some close-up views of the side here. It's got a very interesting side profile. From the top, looks pretty much normal, and then you hold it to the side, and you can see they've recessed the bottom with this detail here. It's very interesting. Lots of ventilation here, but very much like a thin tablet up here on top, and then this bigger section for the base. But this is all one piece down here. So kind of an interesting design detail there. And then you can see right here, you've got your port for the charger to plug into, and then your headphone jack. And I believe that's one of those tri-ports for microphones and headphones to go in there as well. All right, so that's that side there. Let's kind of flip over to the back, and you can see it looks very much almost like a Surface tablet there with the hinge, the kickstand on the back there, the crease. And so that's obviously what supports the ability for it to turn there. So really cool how they concealed that hinge, just like they do on the kickstand for the Surface tablets. And I mean, it looks very, very neat. It's very robust looking. In fact, let me flip it all the way up and you can get a better idea, because it will flip all the way back and show you what that looks like. So it feels like the hinges are right here and then right here, and they're covered with this kind of a mesh fabric of some sort. So that's kind of an interesting design detail, that they covered it with this mesh fabric. Whatever's under here, I guess they didn't want you to see. And then over here, it's got some regulatory information and then the serial number printed down there. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that back looks like. And I'll just rotate it a little bit more so you can see that mesh fabric. That is kind of an interesting design choice, and it's kind of tucked in then to this black bezel all the way around there. All right, so that's kind of what it looks like on the inside, but it feels very sturdy, like I said several times. I mean, really feels very robust the way they designed it. And then it's got those magnets at the bottom to lock it in. But let's take a look at the left side. So if you're facing it, this is the left side. You can see it's real simple, just 2 USB-C ports there. And then more of that same ventilation down here at the bottom. So it runs the entire side there. So I would imagine it's got some pretty decent ventilation, considering it's got this on both sides. And then on the front side there, you can see it's just plain, nothing going on there. Just a plain bezel all the way around, but it still is recessed. Then it's got your feet pads there on the bottom, and same down here, more of that foot pad so it doesn't go sliding when you put it on a flat surface. And then as far as how it's put together, so you can see this base piece right here, there is a seam. See if I can get it to focus for you. There is a seam kind of right along this edge here, and it appears that's where they put this base into the top casing. So that's where it appears to come apart. So it's not like a full unibody where this and the top case is all one piece. It looks like that's where they put that seam. So for servicing, that's kind of where it would come apart, it looks like. Notice there aren't any screws or anything on the bottom. Not sure if they're under this rubber strip here or if it's just held in by clips and pressure, but I am noticing there are no screws down there. All right, so that's a good look at the bottom. And then we'll take a look at the top casing at the keyboard. Just kind of prop it up a little bit so you can see it better. You can see the keyboard very much similar to the previous Microsoft products there as far as how they're laid out and the feel of the keys themselves. You know, very, very much like I'd say any other Surface Book, at least to me. In my opinion, it feels very similar there. It does have this little recessed design detail, which looks so much like a MacBook. I mean, I gotta say, it looks very much like they took that design cue directly from Apple. Just the proportions of it and the way they recess the keys in there. Of course, they do that so that when the lid is shut, that the keys aren't touching the screen, of course. But yeah, this looks really similar to a MacBook. The trackpad itself is a little bit smaller than some of the current MacBooks, but it's still plenty big. You can see there it takes up more than the space bar with the Alt key. That's about how wide it is from side to side. Plenty of room though, no complaints there. It's got a very firm click, I will say. You know, compared to some of the other Surface products, you almost hear it. In fact, let me see if this will pick up in the video at all. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the video, but it does have a very firm click and gives some good feedback there, so that's pretty nice. And then for those curious on how far the lid will open going back, as far as the angle, it goes pretty far back. So that's as far as it goes. In fact, I was looking at a MacBook 16-inch M1 Pro about a half hour ago and noticing that it didn't go quite that far back. I think it went more about this far back. So the Surface Laptop Studio goes a little bit further back. So that's kind of nice if you're maybe standing up and you need that angle a little bit sharper there. Let's see, what other kind of details would you like to see? Maybe the webcam here at the top, you can see that cut out there, and it's got then two little holes right there on either side. I imagine they're microphones or some other kinds of sensors that are built in there to the lid. So that's really the majority of the body and the design here on the Surface Laptop Studio. Now, I'll just say I am primarily a MacBook user myself. And so, you know, my first initial impression on this is obviously very nice quality from a hardware perspective. You know, no surprise there because Microsoft has really upped their game over the last few years coming out with new products. So, I mean, the hardware, this is probably, in my opinion, the best, you know, Windows experience you can buy right now if you're looking for, you know, premium hardware, a really nice aesthetic design and everything. Just looks really clean. Yes, it is a little bit kind of weird and awkward how this tilts up. You know, I don't know that if I was using it personally, if I was a user of this product, that I would use it in this mode a lot, unless maybe I was an artist or, you know, did graphic design. Maybe I would use it that way. Maybe for taking notes. I'm just not sure. I could see myself using it more in the flat mode like this. You know, that kind of makes a little bit more sense to me because then it's like a tablet. So I think that's very useful. And of course, being a touchscreen, that all kind of aligns together. But as far as that split mode that you see it often in the marketing pictures and online, I just don't know that I would be using it in that position. But nevertheless, it is pretty slick how they designed all that. Well, I hope this video is helpful for those looking at the Surface Laptop Studio. And again, I am primarily a Mac user, so all my thoughts that I shared today are kind of coming from that background. But again, I hope this information is helpful. For those who don't know, JBrokers is a risk-free secondhand marketplace, and so we buy and sell all kinds of secondhand used items just like this Surface Laptop Studio. So if you're looking to upgrade and you want to get rid of your old gear, and maybe you don't want to mess with the hassle and risk of eBay or Craigslist or something like that, then definitely check us out at jaybrokers.com. That's JAYbrokers.com. You can get an instant offer on items just like this Surface Laptop Studio, along with almost 3,000 other products, iPhones and cameras and so forth. No obligation. You can do it 24/7 from the convenience and safety of your home. Now, let me just say two things that our customers love most about JBrokers, and that is, number one, we always pay the agreed upon amount for the agreed upon item. No bait and switch gimmicks ever. And number two, we always send out payments on the next business day, rain or shine. So definitely check us out at jaybrokers.com. That's JAYbrokers.com. Thanks for watching.